Hey everybody, High Mileage Rider here, and today we are doing a test ride and first impressions of a 2024 KTM Duke 390. If this is a bike you're interested in, or this is a class of motorcycles you're interested in, come and join us.
Okay, everybody, here we are at KTM Test Ride Days at Riverside, Suzuki, Yamaha, Honda. And today, I'll be riding something a little different. I'm going to be riding a Duke 390. So before I get on the bike, let's switch to the other camera and give you some specs on the bike. And then we'll see you on the road.
So this Duke 390 has a 399cc single-cylinder motor with 44 horsepower and 28.8 foot-pounds of torque. This is a 6-speed with a chain-final drive. It's 165 kilos or 364 pounds. Seat height is 32.2 inches, 820 millimeters. Has a fuel tank of 14.7 liters or 3.9 gallons. Maintenance service intervals are 7,500 kilometers and valve services are at 20,000 kilometers. Front brake has a single 320mm disc with 4-piston caliper. The rear brake has a single 240 with a 2-piston caliper. The front tire is a 110/70 ZR17. Rear tire is a 150/60 R17 with cast aluminum wheels. The front suspension is WP Apex. The rear suspension is a WP Apex monoshock. Both have 5.9 inches of travel. This Duke 390 has a 5-inch color TFT. It has smartphone connectivity, 2 ride modes, street and rain. It has cornering and Supermoto ABS and cornering traction control. KTM states that this bike is a bit of a hooligan bike and for people who have the talent can very easily do wheelies and stoppies. The dash can be put into track layout, not track mode. In track layout mode, the RPMs and the speed are larger for you to see. This bike also comes with launch control and ride-by-wire throttle, although with the ride-by-wire throttle, it does not have cruise control. New for 2024 is a new 2-piece steel trellis frame. This motorcycle comes with all LED lighting. It also has a standard warranty of 2 years, with the ability to add an additional 3 or 4 years depending on the dealer that you buy the motorcycle from. Also new for 2024 is a new offset rear shock. This allows for a larger airbox and a decreased seat height for those who are vertically challenged.
Okay, let's start this beast up. Listen to that thumper. Getting our mirrors adjusted before we go. Quite a different riding position than I'm used to on the Super T. Okay, and away we go. Surprisingly, the riding position on this bike for me is not all that bad. I was worried I was going to have really bent knees, but that is not the case. They are obviously much more bent than my Super T, but for just riding in town, this would actually be pretty comfortable for me. Bar position is good. Reach to the pegs. The pegs could be a little bit lower. I don't know if they're adjustable or not. This bike, wow, this thing's got some gumption for a 390. I really like the quick shifter. I still do pull in the clutch because I'm used to it, but there we go. Start using that quick shifter. Good view through the mirrors. I'd say I have a quarter of my shoulder obscuring the mirror, but they're a nice shape. We'll see how stable they are when we get on the highway.
Recording.
Okay, now that we're out of that mess of construction in the city, we're on the highway. It's not too windy of a day today. Now we're in 100 zone, so they say this bike is good to go about 160 kilometers an hour. I mean, you probably wouldn't want to do that all day long, but you can easily go to 110
which is the speed limit in the Alberta highways, and have more power for passing. Here I am going 110 in 6th gear at about 6,300 RPM. Red line is 10. And surprisingly, obviously there is no windshield, there is no wind protection, but the wind is not bad. It flows really nicely over the contours of this motorcycle. I can obviously feel the wind on my chest, on my shoulders. I have clean air, over my helmet. I have no buffeting at all on my helmet, which I can't believe. You don't have a lot of roll-on power at this speed in 6th gear, so if you did want to pass, you definitely need to downshift. Let's see what she's like. Oh yeah, that's not bad. 390. As I was saying while we were in the city, my reach to the bars is really nice. I have relaxed arms. The seat is surprisingly comfortable. I realize we've only been out for about 5 minutes, but it fits my ass really nice. My position sitting on the bike is very nice. As I said, there is much more knee bend than my Super T, but it is not uncomfortable at all. It's not bad. Again, I'm 6 feet tall, 212 pounds, 34-inch inseam. I don't think I would want to ride this cross country at my size of person, but for commuting every day, would not be bad. Yeah, that wind over the body is very nice. The bike, surprisingly, feels incredibly planted and stable at highway speeds. I was worried that it's only 364 pounds. Now, it's not that windy today, but I was worried that I'd be getting blown around, especially when bigger vehicles go by the other direction. But no, it's nice and stable. When you're at highway speeds at the higher RPMs, 110, 120K, and you're reaching, 7,000 RPM, 7,500, you do get some vibration in your hands and vibration in your feet through the foot pegs. You can also feel that vibration through the tank on your knees, but it's not bad at all. I've felt much worse. So let's see, we've talked about the mirrors. The mirrors are incredibly stable at highway speeds. They are not vibrating at all. Talked about our mirrors, our reach to the bar, the seat, reach to the pegs, the suspension. So as you know, this bike, as I said earlier, has the WP suspension with, I believe it's just under 5.8 inches of travel. I have not adjusted it at all. It's set for whoever used this bike before. So to me, it feels a little bit hard. I would maybe soften it up just a bit. Of course, I am a much bigger guy at 212 pounds. And one of the things that they did on the new redesign was they moved that rear shock to off-center so they could have a larger air box and then decrease the seat height for people. The TFT is so beautiful in the sunlight. It's got all the information you need. It's got the time. It's got your distance till empty, your rate of fuel consumption, your voltage on your battery. You've got your trip, your gear indicator, your speed, what mode you're in, and again, there's just the two modes, street and rain. Although, as I said earlier, this does have a track layout that you can use on the TFT, and all that does is make your tachometer and speedometer bigger for you to see. It's not a track mode. It is just a track layout on the TFT display. A lot of people really use the word hooligan when they talk about this bike, and I totally see why. Like, look at this thing. This is crazy. This is a 390. this thing has tons of pep for a big single cylinder. One of the reasons they say this can be a really amazing hooligan bike is they set it up not only with quartering ABS, but it also has super Moto ABS. So if you felt so inclined, apparently this is a really good bike to do wheelies and stoppies on. It also, believe it or not, has launch control. You put this bike in launch control, you rev the throttle up to 7,000 RPM, and then all you have to do is concentrate on dumping that clutch, and away you go. They actually list the 0 to 60 time as 2.7 seconds on the KTM website. That's crazy if it's true.
Let's see how this accelerates up to highway speeds.
No problem getting up to highway speed. Wow, I am pleasantly surprised by this motorcycle. This is way more than I thought it was going to be for a 390, for a single cylinder. And I see on this smaller 390, they have figured out the glitches, or just didn't have them, of the 890R, where when you turn on your left turn signal, only the left turn signal shows on the TFT. And when you turn on your right turn signal, the right turn signal goes off on the TFT. On the 890, when you turn on your left or right signal, the hazards go on. You see both of them flashing at the same time. So that's nice to see that the firmware is much better. Now, because this bike is a little bit cramped for me, but again, it's not bad. It might be something I could get used to. I would consider a 390 adventure. And I mean, really, for the money, this seems like a really, really nice bike from the test ride and my first impressions. I mean, a new 2024 Duke 390 is only $7,000. And I see that at Riverside, they're actually selling a 2023 Duke 390 for $5,500. So $7,000 for this bike new. The manners of this motorcycle at city speeds, 50-60k an hour, is really, really nice. Nice smooth clutch. Nice smooth throttle. Obviously, because of the smaller engine and the gear ratio setup, you do a lot more shifting to stay in your power band, but that's half the fun. Those railroad tracks felt really good on the suspension, the way it is set up. So as a recap, riding position is really nice. The mirrors are good. Reach to the bars is good for me. The seat is comfortable. This quick shifter, I love this quick shifter. My next bike is gonna have a quick shifter. I know they say until you try it, you don't know you need it or want it. But once you try it, you decide you do want it. The brakes, I didn't talk about the brakes. The brakes are quite good. Again, you just have a single disc on the front and a single on the rear, but the bike doesn't weigh that much. Seems to stop really well. Suspension is wonderful. Decent sized tank for the size of bike, and you can definitely get some good kilometers. I wouldn't be surprised. This is just a guess, so don't quote me, but I'm going to guess you could probably get 250 to 300k out of a tank. Wind protection. Obviously there is none, but the wind flow is very nice. City and highway speed. Nimbleness of this bike is really, really good, while at the same time being very planted and stable at highway speeds. I think this bike would be perfect for someone between 5 foot and 5'8" probably. TFT is amazing. I can see it perfectly in the direct sunlight. The sun has been behind us, beside us, and in front of us. Switchgear is easy to read, easy to go through. Of course, on this side we have the on-off cancel button and your starter. On the left switchgear, we've got our high beams, we've got our hazard, your buttons for the menu, and then of course your horn and your turn signals. Very basic layout. As we said earlier, of course, all LED lighting. It's amazing that, you know, for $5,000 or $6,000 or $7,000, some manufacturers can give you all LED lighting, whereas other manufacturers for $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, you cannot get all LED lighting. Go figure. So all in all, I'd say this is a really great motorcycle. Now, who would this motorcycle be for? I think it would be a perfect first bike for someone just starting out, because it's going to be able to do everything you want to do, commute in the city, take some trips on the highway on the weekends. I suppose depending on your age and your physical abilities, there's no reason why I couldn't see you touring on this bike as well. Now, obviously no bike is perfect. There's going to be pros and cons on any motorcycle. One of the pros is, I think, what you get for the price of the bike. For $7,000, I think that you get a lot on this motorcycle for that price. I think it's a good value for the money. The other big pro for me, there's actually two of them. One is this TFT display and the electronics. And with that, I'll throw in the quick shifter. I mean, this all works incredibly well. The other thing is, surprisingly, the wind management. At highway speeds, there's no buffeting on my helmet. Now, some of the cons, in my opinion, for this bike would be, I do notice, even with my tech pants on, this motor gets hot. Now, this motor, to do what it does, has quite a high compression ratio of 12.6 to 1. And that might be why it runs so hot, like physically feeling hot. It's not something that would prevent me from buying the bike, but just so you're aware. And I suppose the other con for this motorcycle, depending on the size of the person, obviously, this may not fit you if you're a bigger rider. There are accessories available on the KTM website. You could change the mirrors. You can put a rear bag on. For short trips, you could put a trunk on, actually. For longer trips, you could throw some saddlebags over the side if you chose to. So as I said, value for money. I think this motorcycle is a really good deal. With ride-by-wire throttle, it's surprising that they did not give you cruise control with this bike. I understand that it's a smaller bike at a certain price point, but that would have been a nice thing to have. Of course, I want it on every motorcycle, so that might just be me. So yeah, if you're looking for a smaller motorcycle, 300 to 500 cc's, I think you should do yourself a favor and consider riding this motorcycle. Now, the looks can sometimes be decisive for some people. Some people really like that new modern angular look. Some people want the old school retro look. So that's all dependent on you. But assuming the looks appeal to you, you really should test ride this motorcycle if you're looking for a smaller displacement motorcycle that will do everything. It'll commute, take you to work. You can use it for trips on the weekend, get good gas mileage.
Recording.
Okay, trying to think of what else I need to add in here. I think we've covered everything about the ride of the bike. Pros and cons. Would I buy this bike? Yes, I would. If I was looking for this kind of a bike. So, As always with our videos, I hope you enjoyed this test ride and first impressions of the KTM 390 Duke. If you liked the video, consider liking it. Consider subscribing to the channel. Consider hitting that notification bell so YouTube lets you know when we have more videos. We got a few more test rides for this year. Got a couple of trips planned for this year. So as always, remember to keep that right hand cranked and the rubber side down. And we will see you in the next video.